Greetings, everyone. I am Dr. Wolf, and I just saw the Hearth's Warming Club. A bit of a reference to the Breakfast Club, if I'm not mistaken. I have to admit, this episode kinda threw me for a loop, caught me off guard. I thought it might be going in one direction, or even in another direction, and in the end, hey, that's actually not bad. That really works. And you know what? That's actually really cute too. It's really sweet. It's pretty rare that I'll end an episode with that warm fuzzy feeling. And considering it's a hearth-warming episode in the middle of summer, I can appreciate that. I really can. But anyways, the story begins with Twilight explaining how important it is that ponies have their own little traditions, especially the fire of friendship on top of the tree, and how some of the student six are enjoying such festivities and others are indifferent or kind of just waiting to get out of there to do their own thing, until some shadowy figure comes along and with some kind of powder manages to disrupt that magic spell and cause it to turn into purple sludge. I'm not entirely sure how that happened. And I will be honest, when I first saw this scene, I wasn't entirely sure what to think. When they were going to confront the Student Six, I was initially thinking, is this someone else behind the scenes trying to sabotage the school? Because I can think of at least one character who's been interested in doing that, but I couldn't be sure. On initial impression, I wasn't really believing that any of the Student Six would want to do something like this. But, you know what? It's some pretty good writing when they can actually come up with some compelling reasons as to why each of the students would initially want to believe that none of the others could do this, but the pressure builds up over the course of the 22 minutes until, you know what? One of them realizes that it's actually worse by not confessing. And that did genuinely surprise me. I didn't think that Gallus was the kind of character to do this until they revealed exactly what was waiting for him back at Griffinstone. But I'll get to that. I did very thoroughly appreciate how each of the Student Six were going through their little versions of what they do on the holidays. And the character like Ocellus, coming from the Changelings, who are still kind of trying to establish their own identity as a culture and being mentored by ponies. The fact that they are interpreting written instructions so literally, hanging an upside down tree by a rope, diving into holiday punch, singing carols, 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 carols after they had built a fire and then lit it up. And then I have to say my favorite was exchanging gifts. I don't know how long we're supposed to be doing this. That's some clever little bits. I have to admit, Ocellus is really growing on me as a character. But other than that, I also appreciate how some stories actually make you think. Like, for example, Yona is always going to be about smashing, 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 and yet it ends with something genuine, like the story of how when she gets to a certain age, she has her hair braided for the first time, and that's supposed to be kind of a coming-of-age thing for Yax. And hey, that's interesting. I like that. And then how other stories, like with Sandbar, you'd think that it was going to be something interesting, and it turns out to be completely overblown. No. Wait, that's it? I do appreciate that kind of variety in the little Student Six stories. But again, what makes this episode really stand out is the fact that you'd think it was going one way. Like, my initial impression was maybe Twilight and Rainbow and Spike were barking up the wrong tree, like it wasn't one of the Student Six to begin with. But having it turn out that Gallus does not have a family of his own, I admit I did not see that coming. And the more you think about it, this may actually be the first time in his life where he feels a real connection with others. And given the slow progress throughout Season 7, we haven't seen that much of the Student Six yet. Only a few specific episodes have given them focus. But I think this is the first time this year where I've actually felt, I think there's more to these characters than the surface level personalities that they were introduced with at the season premiere. I feel like I'm finally getting to know them. I feel like they're really starting to become interesting now. And yeah, it took a while for them to get to this point. And you know what? I do want to see more. I do want to have more episodes focused on these individual characters. I'm hoping that in the future, the writers and the rest of the MLP staff will allow more chances for these characters to develop. I'm not entirely sure what direction they could go, given that they are not the main characters. I don't know if they will ever be allowed to take that much of the spotlight, but I do appreciate that they were given that much more depth. Now, on the flip side, I can't really say that this is a really funny episode. There were certain moments that made me chuckle. There are certain moments that made me feel more invested into the story, but overall, I don't think it's one of the really standout moments of the series. What really leaves an impression, though, is the fact that it's just sweet. It's cute and it's sweet, and it leaves you with this little warm feeling at the end. And I can't think of that many more episodes in this series that made me feel that way. There are plenty of episodes that I want to go back and watch certain moments over and over because just of how wildly entertaining they are, or because of such iconic character moments. But this seems like such a smaller story that just, that's really nice. And every now and again, I can really appreciate nice. Not much to say overall beyond that, but I'd say that the Hearthwarming Club is definitely a step in the right direction for this season. But what do you think? Given that this is a hearthwarming episode in the middle of summer, does it make you feel nostalgic for the holidays? Did you expect the kind of turn that these characters had towards the end? Or in other words, were you able to tell exactly where this story was going to go right from the outset? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because as always, I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.